Hello, everybody. I'm here with Jennifer Briney from Congressional Dish. Thank you for watching the Political Vigilante. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Another library edition.
We keep doing this.
Every day we show up wearing the same outfits. It's crazy.
I never change my clothes.
We're socialists. We can't change our clothes.
Well, I'm a podcaster. It's actually kind of true. I really don't change my clothes.
Yeah, it's the downside of doing video. I got a shower.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you about when your awakening was that this, like, walk me through, like, what you were, what sort of label or box you were in, and then when you decided, oh, wait a minute, this is the whole system's messed up.
Yeah, so it actually happened in college is when I started paying attention. I'm the class of 2000, high school class of 2000. So I graduated, I went to Loyola Marymount University, and I was raised Republican, Orange County Republican. So my first chance to vote, I voted for George W. Bush because that's what we Republicans do. So voted for him, 9/11 happened. 9/11 actually didn't have that much of an effect on me. It was a breakup. I was dating my best friend and we broke up and I was like, all right, I just need to get away from you. So I decided to study abroad. And so I went to Germany in the spring of 2003. So that's where I was living when the Iraq War was launched. And because it was directly affecting my life, there's a giant base in Germany. And there were...
Was this Landstuhl or where was what base?
I can't remember the name of it because, again, I didn't care.
Right.
All I knew is that we were getting notices from the school saying, if this hits the fan and they attack Germany in any way, you need to be ready to go because we're just going to send you back to the States. And so we were paying attention basically because we might have to go home and because people were paying attention in Europe. And because I was just living through this, I just thought this was the way it was, that you go into a bar and instead of having sports on the TV, they had British Parliament debating the Iraq War. And there was another debate where I remember I was supposed to be in class and I was like, I just want to go watch the debate. And they canceled class so that we could go downstairs and watch what was happening. So I just figured this is how it was going all over the world. And so I came home and I wanted to continue having the conversations that I was having all over Europe with people because you can hear my accent, I'm clearly American. So we were talking about the whole time and it was really embarrassing. They'd be like, why is your country doing this? And I'd be like, I don't know. What do you think? Like, I have no clue. And I wanted to talk about it. And I remember coming back to school and everyone was talking about the movie Old School. And I love that movie, don't get me wrong. But I was like, why is this the only thing that we're discussing? Like, why can't we talk about anything that's happening in the real world? And I felt so isolated. So that was the first thing that brought the genie out of the bottle. But then a couple months later, I'm back and the boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend / good friend, I mean, he was in my wedding. We're still really good friends. He signed up for the military and went to Iraq. They sent him there twice. So just the fact that someone that I loved was there and he lost people. He was a medic, so he lost people. He's doing okay, but you know, that's never gonna go away. There's issues there. And so it was so personal to me, that war. And I was just like, why are we doing this? Why are we risking his life? What is the goal here? And every question that I got answered led to 50 more questions. And so, I mean, long story short, years later, I've just found that I realized quite quickly that I couldn't trust the television. So then I started reading newspapers, but then I couldn't forget the fact that the New York Times helped sell that war. So when I was looking at my own career, it was like, I can spend $100,000 and go to journalism school to learn how to be one of them, or I can try a podcast and see if I can do it on my own. And so I decided that instead of going into debt, I would just, you know, live very frugally and try this for a year and then try making money from it. But it was basically like, what's the goal even for my own career? Do I want to work at the New York Times? Do I want to be on CNN and be Wolf Blitzer and the advertising model? This was what was crazy about my education. I was a communications major. And as a communications major in Los Angeles, I was trained to do PR and advertising. That's what they were teaching me. They were teaching me the tricks on how to influence people, but it backfired because I went, you're fucking influencing people. This is tricky and this is dirty and I don't like it. And then I would watch CNN and just be like, this is who is paying for these.
Right.
And so that connection too, I was like, oh God, I don't want to work for these advertisers. I don't want to have to tailor stories to them. I remember when Rachel Maddow, she used to be a podcaster. Did you know this?
No.
Yeah, she was a podcaster on Air America. That's how I knew she was.
Right.
And so when she got the MSNBC gig, it was like 3 weeks where she discussed it with the audience. Like, I don't know if I should take this job. She's like, because she was really good on the war stuff. That's why I listened to her so much. And she was like, they're not going to let me talk about this because at the time they were owned by GE. And she's like, they're a defense contractor. They're going to muzzle me. I know this. And she's like, but on environmental things, my microphone would be so much louder. And sure enough, when she got the job, she went straight after the fracking story, really blew it open. She did that on the television. And so those were the decisions she had to make. So to watch her go through that and now see what's happened.
Oh God, I mean, she's making $7 million a year now,
Yeah.
and she's not talking about Dakota Access Pipeline. She's not talking about Flint, Michigan. If she's all environment, she's just going Russia, Russia, Russia. Now it's just like, oh, she's part of the machine.
She is.
It's professional wrestling, and she's the liberal lesbian who's just going to play that character for the corporate state.
Yeah, it's such a shame. She used to be really, really good. I really liked her. So to watch that, I just kind of decided I'm going to try to do this completely on my own, to the point that even for my funding model, we've discussed it, but my funding model is, I call it value for value. Or, I didn't invent this, but John C. Dvorak and Adam Curry, they invented this and they're teaching me how to do it. But essentially, I provide a podcast of value, and my audience, I just tell them, like, contribute whatever you think is fair, because I'm not going to sell you. Because that's the thing too, you're selling your audience when you...
Well, when Rachel Maddow
is
talking about whatever, Russia, and then there's an ad for Boeing.
Yeah,
after
Raytheon.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And why? Why is Boeing advertising on MSNBC?
Because we're just going to buy a plane.
Right. Like, oh look, there's a new F-18 available. It's the F-18 summer clearance sale.
Yeah. Do you want to split one? It'd be great.
I think I need my own F-18.
Yeah, I thought that too. Like, and even Boeing, if we wanted to buy a plane, we probably could, but what could we possibly buy of Raytheons?
I know.
Yeah, they're just throwing money. And the other factor is, so I have a friend that's running for Congress, and I asked her, where does the money go? And she said the vast majority of it goes to the television stations, because that's how expensive the spots are. She's like, one spot in primetime is $700,000. So think about that. There's another reason why they're not telling us about what's going on in Congress, because they are, all that money they're collecting, the money in politics, is going to the corporate media. They are completely intertwined with this. Every time you see a campaign ad, remember how much that cost. It's the money in politics to the media. They're completely connected.
Ugh.
Isn't that gross?
It just that makes my stomach turn.
Yeah. So I didn't want any part of that.
Well, good for you for not being a part of that, and not taking $7 million to sell your soul. I know it'd be so much, $7 million. We wouldn't be in a library. We'd be in a really nice studio with better lighting.
It's gotten a little hospital-y in here since the sun went down.
I know the sun went down, so we're going to road. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your story with us. I think people like hearing it, because we all have choices, and knowing that I forgot that Rachel Maddow started in Air America, so I appreciate you bringing that up and letting people know.
Well, in the awakening, I feel like the reason I'm doing this now is that I was awakened so much earlier than so many of my peers, because I had a unique experience. So many people are having their moment now,
right?
Which is why I think there was such a freak out, because I was really unpleasant to be around. When I came back, I was like, you like George W. Bush? Like, I was a bitch. And so, like, I understand freaking out. I'm calm now because I kind of see what's happening. But right now, our country's going, what is happening? Right. What is happening? I thought everything was cool. Everything's not cool. And so we're having our freak out on a massive scale now. I think Donald Trump is enough to do it for a lot of people. Yeah. And I think we have a really good chance now, especially in the next few years, to have more people being aware. In a way, because when I came back in 2001, if we had had this conversation in 2001, it wouldn't be possible. Even saying corporate media, people are like, what are you talking about? But now it's out there. So
it's good.
Getting better.
Yeah, I think Donald Trump is waking some people up. I mean, because they're starting to calm down, because at first they're just like, and I've said this for the last year, I've been saying this, he's just the most vulgar version of what's been happening.
Yes.
He's ugly, he's disgusting, he's a sexist, he's a racist, but, I mean, Obama, who I voted for twice, deported 2 million people, took us from 2 to 7 wars, expanded the surveillance state. He let Standing Rock happen. I mean, on down the line. He was charming and nice, and he's so educated, and he's presidential. And so that was sort of like, I hope more people are waking up to that fact that there's still so many people like the neoliberal types that are still like think like the corruption just started now. And that's like, you really need...
We can't make it about Trump. It's not about him. Mm-hmm. Like, I saw a sign from the Women's March. If Hillary had won, we'd be at brunch. And I'm like,
that's
I
the
believe
problem.
you.
That's the problem.
Yeah. So you're just going to, like, replace Trump and then think that this is all new?
Yeah, if Hillary would have won, there would have been no Women's March.
No.
Not at all.
No chance.
We would still be deporting people. We still would have blown the shit out of Syria. We would have
taken over Syria by now.
Yeah.
I'm convinced of that.
Yeah. And we would still be ramping up Russia and North Korea talk. There's no
mm-hmm.
way we wouldn't be, because she's all about the war machine.
Yeah. Well, she's mad at Russia because of Syria and Ukraine. If you actually know why we're mad at Russia, it has jack shit to do with social media. It's Syria and Ukraine. Mm-hmm. They actually got involved. Someone pushed back. And they don't like it when someone pushes back on our regime changes. Yeah, she's angry about that. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you've woken up. I'm glad all of you have wakened up. I'm glad I haven't yet, because I'm still asleep, not saying words correctly, but we're having a wonderful time here in the hospital lining library. Welcome to independent media.
No $7 million here, that's for sure.
So guys, maybe up the Patreon buys so we can get some hotel lighting instead of hospital lighting.
Yeah, that would be moving on up.
If I could get an actual studio. But thank you, Jennifer, so much for being on the show. And guys, please listen to Congressional Dish. And thank you for supporting the show. And let's all make Gotham great again.